Welcome. Today I wanted to speak a little bit about the philosophy behind the art of being alive and also about how to approach this space. The YouTube channel, the website, the practice garden on Patreon, and all the practices that will slowly grow here. Because for me this project, it's not just about making yoga videos. And it's definitely not about turning the body into a project of endless improvement, punishment, or decoration. This space is about practice. And practice, in the deepest sense, is not something that we do only when we feel inspired, beautiful, peaceful, flexible, or already transformed. Practice is what we return to, again and again. When we feel clear, and when we feel confused, when the body feels strong and when the body feels tender, when life feels full of meaning and when we are just trying to keep going with some dignity and maybe a cup of tea. For me, practice is one of the ways we learn how to live. Not perfectly, not dramatically, not as some enlightened creature that is floating there 3 centimeters above the floor and never getting annoyed by any details of life. No. Something more honest, more awake, more rooted, more able to meet life without abandoning ourselves. Nowadays, yoga is often presented as exercise, stretching, relaxation, or a way to get a nicer body, or maybe to get a bit calmer nervous system. And of course, the body matters, strength matters, mobility matters, breath matters, nervous system regulation definitely matters. Physical practice is powerful and it's real. But yoga is not a gym. And the gym can be wonderful, but that is not what this space is about. Here, the body is not treated like an object to sculpt from the outside. The body is a living place we learn to inhabit from the inside. Movement is not only movement. Breath is not only breath. Discipline is not only about productivity. Rest is not laziness. Softness is not weakness. And strength is not the same as hardness. The kind of practice that I want to share here is strong, but it's not cruel. It asks something of us. It asks for attention, for honesty, for patience, for consistency, humility, courage. It asks us to not to disappear from our own lives, to be the main character, to be the hero. But it also asks us to stay human. Because not everyone arrives on the mat with the same body, the same energy, the same health, the same history, the same nervous system, the same levels of pain, or the same capacity on a given day. Some people need challenge, some people need gentleness, and most of us need both of it at different times. I know what it is to love strength and depth, and I also know what it is to live in a body that does not always obey plans. Illness teaches you very quickly that discipline cannot mean violence against yourself. If your idea of discipline breaks the body, crushes the heart, or makes you hate being a human, then it's not wisdom. It's just another little triumph. It's your ego wearing yoga clothes. So here, practice will have layers. There will be gentle practices for tired bodies, painful days, illness, stress, and times when the most courageous thing is simply to breathe and move softly. And there will be also strong practices, deep journeys, more demanding sequences, and teachings that ask for real commitment. Because transformation does not happen through comfort, but it also does not happen through self-betrayal. The middle path is much more subtle than that. In the yogic philosophy, we find the yamas and niyamas, ethical principles and inner observances that guide the practice beyond the mat. And in fact, they are the starting point of the practice. They arrive before the asanas, before the pranayama, before the meditation. We start with these ethical observations. And they remind us that yoga is not only about what shape we can make with the body. It's about the quality of our life, our relationships, our choices, our attention, and our inner direction. The first yama is ahimsa, that is often translated as non-harming or non-violence, which is not totally true, because ahimsa is not just non-violence. Ahimsa is a total, radical opposite of violence. Himsa means violence in Sanskrit, and the at the beginning is to negate. So altogether, it's not just non-violence. It's goodness, it's kindness, it's justice. And this matters deeply in our physical practice. Ahimsa doesn't mean that we never do effort. It doesn't mean that we avoid everything that is difficult, that we stay in our comfort zone. It means that we do not use practice as a weapon against ourselves. We learn to distinguish between discomfort that helps us to grow and pain that asks us to stop, between discipline and punishment, between courage and force. The second yama is satya, truthfulness, being always aligned with the truth. And in practice, truthfulness means we meet the body we actually have any given day, not the imaginary body that we think that we should have by now. It means being honest about our energy, our limits, our resistance, our excuses, our longing, our fear, and our strength. Sometimes truthfulness says, you can do more than what you think. Push a bit harder. And sometimes truthfulness says, today you need to rest. Take it easy. Both can be part of the path. Then there is another value called tapas. Tapas is the third niyama that is often understood as discipline, inner fire, or dedicated effort. I love tapas because it reminds us that practice is not only about soft blankets and candles. There is fire there. There is devotion. There is commitment. There is the willingness to show up again, and again, even when the novelty has faded, even when the practice feels uncomfortable, even when you are discovering parts of yourselves that you don't like to see. It is the willingness to be shaped by what we love. But tapas needs to be held together with ahimsa. Fire needs a heart, otherwise it just burns the house down. So this is one of the values of this space, discipline with kindness. Not discipline as self-punishment, not kindness as giving up on yourself, but the two together, strong hand and a soft heart. Another principle that matters enormously here is svadhyaya, which means self-study. This is one of the deeper reasons I love to practice, because when we practice, we meet ourselves. We meet the impatient personality, we meet the ambitious one, we meet the tired one, the one who compares, the one who wants to give up, the one who wants to prove something, the one who is secretly grieving, and also the one who is stronger, what she or she believed. The mat becomes a small mirror, not a place to judge ourselves, but a place to listen. Over time, we begin to notice patterns, how we respond to challenges, how we respond to slowness, how we breathe when something is uncomfortable, how quickly we leave ourselves when we want to be impressive, how hard it is to receive gentleness, how much wisdom the body has been carrying quietly. This is why I say this is about transformation. Not transformation as becoming shiny or flawless. Transformation as becoming more truthful, more embodied, more capable of love, more capable of action, more capable of rest when it's needed, more capable of staying present with the life that you have, while also walking towards the life that calls you. So, what will you find here? On YouTube, you will find small pieces of the work, short practices, introductions, reflections, gentle classes, creative pieces, glimpses of the philosophy, and little doorways into the larger garden. YouTube is the open path, a place to begin, a place to meet the spirit of the work, a place to try things gently and see what resonates. But YouTube will not hold everything. The practice garden on Patreon will become the deeper home of this work. That is where I will begin adding longer yoga practices, fuller classes, deeper philosophy, more complete explorations, and more continuous guidance for those who want to go further. Not because the free things do not matter, they do. But deeper practice needs space, it needs time, it needs a container. It needs somewhere quieter than the endless scrolling on YouTube. The practice garden will be for people who want more than snippets, people who want to build a relationship with the practice, return to regularity, and move through the body, breath, reflection, and transformation with more depth and more awareness. On the website, you can find all the different doors. You can begin with this playlist, Start Here section, if you are new. That will help you to understand how to approach the practices, how to listen to your body, and how to make this journey your own. You can use the free YouTube videos when you want a small practice, a short reflection, an introduction, or just to feel the mood. You can enter the practice garden when you want fuller sessions and deeper material. And over time, there will also be one-to-one work for people who want more personal guidance, who want to go deeper, who want to really go into what is for their body, for their journey, for their goals. But I want to say something clearly. You do not need to do everything. You do not need to become intense about this. You do not need to watch every video, join every space, practice every day, or turn your life into a perfectly organized temple of self-development. Begin where you are. If you have energy, practice with energy. Practice every day. Perfect. If you are tired, practice gently. If you are in pain, adapt. If you are overwhelmed, breathe. If you feel strong, let yourself be strong. Get even stronger. If you feel lost, start small, but start. The point is not to perform the path. The point is to walk it. And walking it means learning to return. That may be one breath, one stretch, one honest reflection, one moment of choosing not to abandon yourself, one act of beauty, or one small discipline, like your morning yoga practice, kept with love. That is practice. In this space, I will encourage you to listen to your body, but also to be honest with yourself. Because listening to the body does not always mean doing the easy things. It doesn't mean staying in the comfort zone. Sometimes the body asks for rest. Sometimes it asks for strength. Sometimes it asks for movement. Sometimes it asks for stillness. Sometimes it asks us to stop pretending that we don't know what we need. This is a living relationship. And like all real relationships, it requires attention. So as you move through this site, this channel, these practices, I invite you to hold a few questions gently. life. What am I practicing, really? Am I practicing presence or performance? Am I practicing discipline or punishment? Am I practicing softness or avoidance? Am I practicing strength or hardness? Am I becoming more alive? Not more impressive, not perfect, more alive. That is the heart of this work. To become more alive in the body, more awake in the breath, more honest in the heart, more rooted in the earth, more courageous in the way that we meet life. So, welcome. Use what supports you, leave what doesn't, adapt what needs adapting, return when you can. Let the practice be strong enough to transform you, but kind enough to actually belong to your life. This is the art of being alive, and this is only the beginning.